Welcome back to the final edition of Who Will Defeat Each Champion. This one, we're merging NXT and TNA together. They've been doing a lot of work together. We were thinking about doing AAA. We could have did all that, but there's been way too many titles to kind of introduce into one video. So we're just going to do NXT and TNA to kind of finalize this list of videos that we're doing here. But we're going to start off with NXT to kick things off, and we're going to kick it off with the Women's Speed title, currently held by Sol Ruka, who is currently injured, so I guess it's kind of vacated. So who do you think is going to win it next?
Yeah, so for my pick, I went with somebody, because the speed title for me feels like kind of a stepping stone reward where it doesn't have too much meaning. Obviously, it was originally a Twitter title, people called it, and now it is kind of been dropped from that and is now on NXT, so I think it's kind of cool. But I went with Lainey Reed, recently joining Fatal Influence. I think she could have a big role somewhat soon. I feel like now that JC has lost her belt, I think we could see maybe Fallon pick up a belt, or maybe we see Lainey Reed kind of as the underdog. Kind of get a championship right before maybe Fallon and JC kind of go up to the main roster.
Yeah, I went ahead myself and I went with Kendall Gray. She's someone from Evolve. She's the Evolve Women's Champion right now. She's currently been doing a few things in NXT. She's gonna have a match against Lash Legend coming up very soon, tomorrow, as of the recording of this video at least. But yeah, so I'm going to go with Kendall Gray for the women's speed title. Now, going on to the men's speed title, we sort of know which direction this is going to go in a way, and it's going to be either Axiom, Jasper Troy, or of course El Grande Americano could always retain his title as well. So who do you have?
I went with Miles Bourne. Again, I think he does have a future and big potential in NXT. However, I don't think he's the type of guy to win the NXT champion just yet. And I don't think the North American champion is on the table for him either. So I'll go with something that will be the men's speed title. I think he could wrestle that type of style where it's a quick few minute match and have a good solid 5 minutes. But yeah, I think the Axiom could go on to win it, but I feel like it will stay in NXT now that it is kind of an NXT title.
Yeah, I went ahead and I did go with Jasper Troy to do it. I just feel like he's someone who you probably don't want to have long matches right now. He's pretty new to this as far as I'm aware, at least. He's obviously came up from LFG and whatnot. So I think having a speed title on to kind of put him in the ring, have quick matches, give him a little bit of an accolade to kind of kick his career off with the title, I think that could really help him out a little bit here. But moving on to our NXT Tag Team Champions, was held by the Hardys, now held by Dark State. Who do you have defeating Dark State?
I went with the recently returning OTM. They're a tag team that I've been kind of high on for quite a while now. Obviously, they kind of took a little bit of a time away. I guess I don't know really for what reasons, but they seem to be back now, and I think they could be a good tag team. Obviously, they're a heel tag team, so them versus Darkseid would be a heel and heel tag team match. But I still think you can work around it to get the belts onto them away from Dark State, because it feels like it's been held on to them for almost too long, even though it's not really been that long. Obviously, they just won it, but that first reign felt a little bit just dragged on, but yeah, I do think OTM have some legs in NXT, and I think they would be a good next set of champions.
Yeah, I went ahead and I did choose the team that was kind of teased at Halloween Havoc, and that is Javon Evans and Leon Slater. They mentioned that they were going to go after the tag team titles at some point after Leon was finished defending his X Division title, and I do think those will be the next NXT tag champions. But now, our women's North American champion, currently held by Blake Monroe. Who do you have?
I want somebody maybe a little bit obscure. Obviously, she's somebody who's well known in NXT, obviously, but maybe not for this title or what the route she'd be going down. But that is Jada Parker. I don't think she would similar to what I said about Miles, where I don't think they're in the race for the world champion just yet. I do think North American champion would be good for Jada Parker, and a match with her and Blake Monroe I think could do very well. And I think it would just be a nice big match for Jada Parker to kind of establish herself in the NXT roster.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Of course, Jada Parker has been putting in a lot of work. She showed up at the Royal Rumble this year, so that's a big spot. So that shows that they do have some high praise for her to some degree backstage. But I think I went ahead and I went with Jordynne Grace. Obviously, she just finished up a feud with Jordynne Grace, but I think after a few months, that's definitely something that we'll want to revisit at some point. That's the two probably biggest women's stars in NXT at the moment, and I feel like Jordynne Grace coming after everything that Blake has done to her and kind of winning that feud, I feel like Jordynne Grace coming back, getting the win over and taking the title is a good kind of comeback and comeuppance for Jordynne Grace to have here.
And then next up, we have the men's North American champion, currently held by Ethan Page, the greatest North American champion. Who do you got for this one?
Yeah, for this one, I kind of went with someone, who I already picked a little bit earlier. That is Javon Evans. I have him winning the Tag Team Champions, and now I have him winning the North American title. I feel like, obviously I could put him in the world title at any point, and that would be great. But I feel like him just kind of having that slow burn, getting the North American title, maybe never getting that NXT Championship, but just going straight to the main roster after that could be the way to go.
Yeah, for me, I went with former tag team partner of the new men's speed title in my eyes, but I went with Tavion Heights. I think he's somebody who we've been seeing the feud with him and Ethan Page for quite some time now, and they do have a match to kind of set up a future #1 opportunity for the North American champion. I do think Tavion will go on to win that match, and I think he is a good opponent to take it off of Ethan Page. We've seen him last year, had a great run. Ethan's been on a great run, and I think Tavion will be a great guy to keep up his momentum.
Yeah, and then finishing up the NXT titles with our last 2 titles. That is our world title, starting off with our women's title held by Tatum Paxley, who just won it at Halloween Havoc. Who do you have?
I went with somebody who kind of is the complete opposite of a Tatum Paxley, and that is Lash Legend. I think it's a simple match where Tatum will try her hardest, she'll have the crowd behind her, but ultimately Lash is just too big, too strong for her, and will ultimately just get the win over. I think Lash is somebody who deserves a world title shot at some point in time, or a world title run at some point, and I think a Tatum Paxley is somebody who, similar to how we thought JC was, she's a very beatable champion, so I think Lash would make a good opponent.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Lash Legend is someone who's been there for quite a long time now. She's kind of put in the time. She's done tag team, she's done face, she's done heel. So yeah, that's going to be a great spot for Lash Legend to be part of. I went ahead and I just went with sort of the easy choice. I went with Izzy Dame. It was kind of unknown if she was going to turn on her at Halloween Havoc or if it was no telling what was really going through her mind during that moment. We'll find out very soon, I'm sure. But I did go with Izzy Dame to defeat her. I'm sure that's a very interesting feud that we'll be getting very soon. But for the final title, our NXT Men's Champion, currently held by Ricky Saints. Who do you have?
You mentioned him earlier. I went with kind of a more obvious pick, and that is Javon Evans. I want a young world champion. I know Oba's fairly young, but I think Javon is somebody who could really shake things up in NXT. He's a phenomenal wrestler. Everybody knows that at this point, so I won't go on for too much. But yeah, Javon Evans is a future world champion whenever they need him to be that champion.
Yeah, I went ahead and I picked a kind of big, kind of shocking surprise one here, and that's going to be Tavion Heights. I think he's someone who's kind of been impressing me recently. He hasn't had a ton of opportunities, but the opportunities that he has had, he's done really good in them. And I think he's someone who's been building a lot and showing that he has the work ethic to kind of go out to Noah and put in the work there, come back to the WWE, come to NXT to performance, and do all these things to kind of get better. And you could tell that it has been working because he has been a lot better. So I have Tavion Heights defeating Ricky Saints at possibly a heel turn coming up, because we sort of seen that potentially start with him and Miles Bourne's last backstage segment that they've had. But to finish this video off, our TNA champions, we're going to kind of run through these a little bit quicker here, but our TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions, who do you have?
Yeah, there's not too many tag teams to really pick from. For me, I'm not a huge Knockouts tag team watcher, but I did go with Xia Brookside and Li Ying Lee. They've been great as a tag team for quite some time now, and yeah, I think it'll just be a good match.
Yeah, I went ahead and I picked the same ones as well, known as the Angel Warriors. They've been doing a lot of good stuff. We went to a TNA show, I believe sometime towards the end of last year or something like that, and it was a really good show, and that's where we kind of learned about Xia Brookside and kind of became more of a fan of her after that show. But we got our men's tag team titles currently held by the Hardys. Who do you have?
I went with, again, somebody who's also held the tag team belts at one point, and that is the Rascals. They're probably one of the most well-rounded teams in TNA still, and yeah, I think when Wesley eventually joins over, which I kind of assume that's going to happen, I think him and Zachary went to kind of kick things off where they left in NXT when they were the tag team champions.
Yeah, I picked the same thing. I have the Rascals, whether it's Myron Reed, Wesley, no matter what kind of combination that you do of these guys, they're all really good wrestlers. They're all very entertaining and known in TNA/NXT, so they'll all be good champions. Now for our international champion, we have Steve Maclin, the newest title as part of the NXT champions. Who do you have winning?
Yeah, for this one, I kind of look at the international title as the big man's title, where the X Division is the little man's title. And for the international champion, I went with Jig Something. I think he fits everything that a champion should look like. He has the look, he has a great skill in the ring, and he's somebody who I think TNA should really capitalize off of, because he's somebody who's very, very talented. And yeah, I would not be surprised if he's a world champion by this time next year.
I went a different route myself, and I went with Jeff Hardy, only because I think that title would look very good on with the blue strap hanging around Jeff Hardy. That'd be an amazing look to see hanging around Jeff Hardy's waist. And of course, you probably want to give that title some prestige on his way out, and kind of he'll help boost that up potentially. But I did go with Jeff Hardy to do that. But next up, we have our X Division champion, currently held by Leon Slater. Who do you have for this one?
Again, another simple one. I went with Mustafa Ali. He's been phenomenal since being in TNA. I think he's really picked himself up and kind of making good stock in himself as well. And yeah, I think an X Division champion run would be very fun for him. Leon and Mustafa sounds like a great match. I think they've already done that before, but I think a rematch would be very fun.
Yeah, I went with KC Navarro from First Class. He recently had an injury, but I do believe he will be coming back soon. So I think KC Navarro, him getting a big push and potentially getting a title, could really help him and First Class out as well. But we have our TNA World Champions now. We're going to kick it off with our Knockouts World Champion, currently held by NXT's Kalani Jordan.
Yeah, for this one, I went with somebody who is still pretty new in the TNA landscape, and somebody who kind of has a past with Kalani Jordan, and that is Mara Sade. I think she's somebody who hasn't done too much in TNA so far, but I think similar to what I said about I think it was Takedown Heights, where as soon as you want to be the world champion, she can be that. And yeah, I think her and Kalani would be a great match, and yeah, it'd be a nice reward for her.
Yeah, anytime I get a chance to predict a Knockouts World Champion, I'm going to predict the same person until it happens, and that is Dani Luna. I've been asking for this since I started watching TNA again. She is one of the best wrestlers, not only in TNA, but really in the world. She is very, very good, and I would really love to see her with that Knockouts World Champion around her waist, because she is the best. But our last title of the video is going to be our TNA World Champion, currently held by Mike Santana.
Yeah, this one is probably the hardest champion to pick, because Mike Santana feels like he's not going to lose it for any time soon. But I went with a guy who I think will probably have a world title run before he leaves or retires, whatever the case may be, and that is Frankie Kazarian. We know he has that opportunity to cash in his little trophy. I forget what it's called. But yeah, I think Kazarian would be a good champion, and he plays the heel role very well. And yeah, I think he could be a good kryptonite to Mike Santana.
Yeah, him and Nick Nemeth both won the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, and I guess they both have the trophy. Maybe one of them have the trophy. They both try to cash it in at the main event of Bound for Glory, but neither one of them ended up doing it. So I guess we'll kind of see what happens as far as that goes. But I went ahead and I picked Mustafa Ali. He's someone who's been getting a lot of TV time recently with him and the Order 4 and everything kind of involving those guys. And yeah, it'd be great to see him kind of step up, get into that world title picture. Obviously, I don't want Mike Santana to lose it anytime soon. Like, I think it should be, as long as they can keep it on, they should probably keep it on him. He is probably the best wrestler in the entire company. He brings the most emotion out of it. He just does everything correctly. His promos are good, and he has just a really good wrestling story in general. But yeah, I think he should probably hold it until you probably sign someone new, who's someone well known or something, or maybe when Leon drops the X Division title, he can kind of move up into that world title. But yeah, I do have Mustafa Ali here, but I just don't know when this match would take place, and hopefully it's not soon.
Yeah, Mike Santana, like I said, feels like a champion that he might retire with the champion for all we know. But yeah, it doesn't take probably somebody that's not on this roster just yet, to probably take that belt off of him.
But yeah, we will be keeping up more with TNA. We'll be covering that a little bit more on the channel potentially. Let us know if you guys want to see more of that. But we'll catch you guys in the next one.